Afternoon all. Excuse me. How we doing? Sorry, might as well put the stream on, rather than having the holding screen up. How we doing? Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. Look, New Zealand's going. Euro's going against New Zealand. Finally. That outside bar got swept. Now they're off. Fingers crossed. This might be the Euro move we've been waiting for. We'll see. All good. Oops. So, how are we doing? Morning, Alex. Afternoon, even. Alex, Baggy, Deregi, Derp. Andrew, Dreska, Diamond, Junior, David. All ready to shoot Euro New Zealand. Yeah. Banking due in the news tonight. Yeah, we'll see what happens later, but I think it's finally moving. Afternoon, Fletch, Fabio, Ike. Pound yen, you want to look at already? Blimey, don't hang around. PPI, a bit of a damp squid. Massive movement at the moment seems to be going on. A lot of stuff's moving, so we'll see. But we'll have a look at it all in a minute. Just a quick update on today so far. The H1 hedging banked 1.26%, sitting in 7.35 drawdown. So that's doing well. Green days across the board. That's a 0. So that's kind of cheating, but it is green. It's not red. So yeah, good. Looking good. Cheat. H4 mean reversion banked 0.41%, sitting in 2.47. Nothing worrisome there, apart from that Euro New Zealand, which is starting to play out, hopefully. H1 hedging, 0.5% loss so far today. Just done some drawdown control, but there's no drawdown. And if we carry on in this direction that we're going at the moment, we are at ADRs at the moment, so I'm not sure we're going to carry on with these moves. But if we do carry on with these moves, some of that will get banked today, so we'll probably have a small profit today on that. And ADR reversals, nearly 1% drawdown done today. And sitting in 3.81, so nothing particularly dramatic. That Euro New Zealand and that New Zealand Swiss, still the main culprits there, making up the vast majority, pretty much all of that drawdown. So not doing very well on the ADRs this month so far, but we will see where we go. Afternoon, Daniel, Fabio. First time live? Blimey. Welcome aboard. Hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up button. Afternoon, Steve. Play Salty. Afternoon. How are we doing? Today is the day. Afternoon, Virginia. Let's have a quick look at the pound yen. Someone wanted to have a quick look at that. Coming down nicely. Down to a double bottom. There's your weekly support from last week. Potentially looking for a bounce. That. Another disconnection. Which terminal was that? Yeah, sorry about this morning. Internet went again. So if the internet goes, excuse me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it because it literally went down for 3 minutes this morning and then it all came back again. So I'll hang around for 3 or 4 minutes and see if it reconnects because it keeps continuously trying to reconnect the stream. But anyway, so yeah, pound yen, double bottom potentially there. We're coming down into that propulsion gap. The pound has dropped. So looking at the news, so we had the 4.5, which we were expecting to get. Of all of the talk that we had, I can see that. Of all the talk we had out of the Bank of England, there wasn't anything particularly bullish there. It was all kind of inflation is going along at a rate of knots. We haven't managed to get on top of it, sort of thing. Inflation forecasts are forecast to come down fast from April. From will fall. We have good reasons to think CPI will fall shortly from April. We're in May, Bailey. I mean April next year, I guess. But the forecasts for CPI were way off in the future. So there's no upside really for the pound from what they said. Bank of England rate forecast at 4.95. Read that as 5. So one more rate increase on the cards pretty much guaranteed for the pound, which is bullish. Wasn't much else said by Bailey. Nothing. It was all business as usual. We'll wait for the data, that usual rubbish. FDIC to make announcement on deposit insurance fund today. PPI came out as, look at Forex Factory, it's easy to see. PPI came out as negative. So that is negative US. So what's happened? US has rallied. Core CPI came out as expected. Unemployment claims came out a little bit higher than expected. Not a lot. 20,000 in the grand scheme of things is not massive. It is 10% on top of the forecast, which is significant, I guess. But the US has had a bit of a drop on that. So other news today, we've got Waller speaking later, and then we've got the bond auction this evening. And then overnight, you've got inflation for New Zealand dollar. So be aware of any New Zealand dollar pairs. So we'll have a look at how that's all impacted the market this morning. I just seen that Fed swaps upgrade the odds of a rate cut beginning in July. Not quite sure why. The Fed have said they're not going to decrease rates this year. So I don't quite know where that's come from. Let's have a quick look at the Dow. We got 45 seconds to the open. So we've had a big drop on the Dow. Just playing around with some labeling. I was looking at labeling up these lines. It's just a mess, absolute mess. So I got rid of it. Just from a previous update I just done. So the Dow basically is down there. Let's quickly get the NASDAQ up as well. We can watch that at the open. So NASDAQ, we've had a lot of volatility, but no direction. The Dow has come down pretty hard. So good movement on the Dow. If we look at levels on this, let's just watch the open quickly. So there's your pre-market 15. You've just broken to the upside straight away on the Dow. Pre-market 15 on the NASDAQ is that candle, which is the 5-minute as well. So that's breaking to the upside. So both broken to the upside longs if you're taking the pre-markets. New Zealand dollar, US dollars just hit ADR and is bouncing off of it. And that's also a double bottom. Just going to bank some of that. Just in case it gets an ADR bounce. Looking like it wants to continue to the downside. So just quickly looking at the Dow today. We started this downward movement yesterday. So we had the nice rally down, but we pulled back up. So this is where we opened. We then basically did a big old whipsaw and ended up back where we started. Today we're out the lows. We just cracked the lows. So the 5-minute opening range or the 15-minute opening range break pre-market to the upside has stopped out, and you are short. Looks like the short wants to completely collapse, which is nice, which is indicative of more US dollar strength. Junior gold. I'm going to get angry. Don't trade it then. You know my feelings on gold. Afternoon, Crom. So downside targets, we've got this monthly high here, which basically we may get a reaction from. Prior to that, we've got the 150 ADR, which is last week's low. So this is your... Oh, sorry, no, that's last month's low, not the previous month's high. I was getting confused with the DAX. So we're coming down to that low. We've already bounced off of it once yesterday, straight away. So this is a double bottom off of that monthly low. If that cracks, we're straight down into last week's low, which is 150 ADR. And then we've got all these downside targets to flush down to from there. NASDAQ, with the NASDAQ, basically we're back out the highs. So yesterday's NASDAQ, we got a lovely big rally, lots of volatility and a big push. We ended up in a nice bull candle yesterday. Broke out of these highs. So we're out of this range now on the NASDAQ. Pound yen's just hit ADR. So obviously this is coming down at the moment to fill that propulsion gap. This weekly high is potentially your first support. Failing that, there's obviously lots of levels. That's a previous monthly, and then we've got that weekly, and then we've got the previous day's low, yesterday's low down there at 125 ADR. So if we're going downside, there's lots of potential support for the Nasdaq on the way down, but we have got all these big targets to the downside to come and fill. So there is lots of downside potential on it. So see what happens with the Dow. Dow may well drag, and it is dragging it down. So Dow's dragging the Nasdaq down today. There is your monthly support and yesterday's low, same place. So we'll see if we get some limit orders trigger. It looks pretty strong today. Outro, are you in here? He's just made a fortune. The 5-minute pre-market short is a 4R return. Look at that. Boom. Lovely big flush today. Nice big profit there. Would have been stopped out on the long. So it's a 3R return in net, which is good. So yeah, Dow looking good for potential break of this low. So see if we get the limits trigger here. We may well get, this may be the false move and then we bounce back up into there. But looking at the US dollar, so obviously we've had this big rally on the US. We're 125. We're just coming up into 125 ADR on US dollar CAD up into this propulsion gap at the moment. US dollar Swiss starting to rally, having a little bit more of a struggle because we've got a push on the euro. US dollar yen again struggling a little bit down there. So if we look at the euro pair against the US dollar, that text I just saw on there. Get rid of these. This is old. This is just old text artifacts from when I was testing these labels out. Get rid of all this. So euro US dollar. You can see obviously that is coming down, which means the US dollar is stronger than the euro. So big strong US dollar means weakness on indices. The yen pairs all coming down very, very, very hard at the moment. So there's a lot of money suddenly flooding into the yen again. So big, strong moves to the downside on the yen. Pound yen now ADR coming down into propulsion. So we're going to find some support at 125, probably down there. New Zealand dollar yen coming down hard. US dollar yen coming down hard. So basically, at the moment, the yen is the strongest instrument out there, followed by the US dollar, followed by the euro. The pound is also very weak at the moment as well. So lots and lots of movement. As I said, we've had a very, very quiet week this week. And I said, you know, we were waiting for all this to get out of the way. What they actually were waiting for was that PPI. Now everything's got the opportunity to move. So big day today, 200, 300 ADRs, possibly. We'll see what happens. Dow, that's your 5-minute opening range. That's a hell of an opening range, isn't it? So you haven't got far to go now on the Dow to ADR, which is here, look. So we're coming down into that weekly support and ADR confluence. But this US dollar is really rallying off the back of the CPI or the PPI figures, which is weird because obviously unemployment's negative, PPI's negative, should be negative US dollar. Nothing makes sense. So yeah, lots of movement all over the place at the moment. Good opportunities to bank a load of cash. 0.2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 0.2. Calculate one, sorry. I got a load of profit sitting on the Freedom Crest account. I just need to quickly calculate it. 0.2. Should have a dashboard to do this. Next project. Plus 0.76. 1.5%. Shall I bank that? I think I shall bank some of it. Bear with. DAX is ADR as well, isn't it? So I've got this DAX short on. If you remember, I took this DAX short yesterday. I'm playing the gap fill on this. I'm going to leave this one running. So I'm literally 0.1% in profit on it. We are at ADR, which is what's kind of worrying me about it. But I'm playing the gap fill. This is a stop loss entry somewhere around here. Very close to yesterday's low, actually. Stops above the high there. So that's the risk. That's the reward. Back down into there. So I'm leaving that running. Hopefully, I'll have passed the evaluation by the time that needs to play out, because I can't see this playing out particularly quickly. If you look at the amount of movement from here up to there, that's round about a week, 2 weeks. So to get all the way down to there, it's either going to need a completely catastrophic collapse, i.e. a massive rally on the US dollar or the euro, or that's going to take a week or so to get there. I'll be out and done by then. So I'm going to leave it on. I'm not going to add to it. I was thinking about adding a second position, but as we're at ADR, I'm not going to. If we get a pullback into this propulsion gap, which is forming there, and we see some bearish action out of it, I might take a second entry there and double up the position, because my entry is at 158. Yeah, 158.60, which is... Yeah, it's actually on the wrong time frame. That's why I'm getting confused. My entry is here. So if we pull back up into this propulsion gap, which has just been formed on the hourly, which is around about there, I might just double the position if we get a second on and just see if I can exponentially increase that profit. The Dow is pausing at the lows down here. A lot of volume just gone in, but no movement. So just be a bit careful of that. Thanks for the follow, whoever that was. That's a challenge. No, can't say it. Sorry. Nlakinfo? Powell? I'm going to call you Powell. Thanks for the follow, Powell. Pound US dollar, 125 ADR. So we'll look at the ADRs because there's quite a few of them. Aussie dollar yen, first one. So big drop down. Quickly look at the buyer scorecard first, actually. Let me just refresh that. So fundamentals have changed on the pound. Pound is now 4.5, interest rate up 0.25. Everything else is the same on the pound. We've had no news. So the interest rates now are akin with the Canadian dollar for the pound. Still behind the New Zealand and the US, but the change has been here with the differential at 0.25. So looking at the buyer scorecard, if you look at everything, it's not a lot of difference. So the pound pairs still bullish pretty much across the board. Obviously bearish against the pound US dollar, back against the US dollar, mainly because there's a slight COT bias to the downside. But the COT bias for the pound is long on everything still. So the market is still interested in the pound. There is still more to go on it. Be interesting to see what the COT figures make of it next week, because that's when we'll get the latest update after this interest rate rise. But there's not a massive difference made across the buyer scorecard. So everything is still kind of long-term bullish on the pound. So we'll have a look at what's hit ADR. There's only the pound yen that's hit at the moment. DAX has just come screaming off of ADR. Please, this is all old text. This is what happens when you muck about with live indicators when you're developing. You just end up with a load of crap all over the screen. Yeah, so lovely ORB. If you took the ORB on the DAX today, beautiful collapse. If you didn't get stopped out on a trailer on that, you pretty much milked it and you're still in it now. So you lovely ORB today, opening range breakout with the EA. ADR's Aussie dollar yen. So that's come off of ADR. We've got two propulsion gaps down at 125 to 150. That is also a weekly support there as well. So that's another good level to keep an eye on. That is a 3-week low. Drop down, M15, M5, reversal alert. You're not going to get a reversal alert on this one until you get up to there. So it's quite a way away before you're going to get a reversal on that one. But there's a lovely W pattern going in there at the moment. We've obviously got bullish divergence. So if you wanted to take it ahead of getting the reversal alert, break of that high would be a good entry on the Aussie dollar yen. Thanks for the follow, Lucas. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Aussie dollar, US dollar. That's a nice hit to the downside. Obviously, this US dollar is powering up. So we are 125 ADR on that now. Big, strong push to the downside continuing on that. We filled all propulsion gaps, I think, to the downside on this. Oh, no, apart from that big one, yeah. So there was this little one we looked at this morning, which was the last one. Not sure about that. We got one down there, but this one, I would say, is possibly filled. But this US dollar is obviously screaming at the moment. So we're undoing this move here, this whole move here. So this is the profit take move on this previous rally that we've had. So all coming down nicely. So if you're going to take ADR reversals on these, pushing back up into that propulsion gap, just drop down M5 and just wait. You're not going to get one until there, although that is just put a new low in, I think. Yeah. So we just put a new low in there. So there's your reversal alert. Very nice tight reversal alert there. Push back up into that area on Aussie US. So that looks pretty good. Euro US dollar. That's an ADR hit to the downside. All these US dollars are ADR hits to the downside. Still going. We're over 100 ADR. US dollar CAD 125. That'll be hit to the upside. So big drop continuing there. We're just coming down into a weekly support, which is a 3-week ago support level from here. So that was that level there. So we hit it again, tapped over it, came back down, accumulated around it, dropped down, accumulated around it, pushed, tested it. So potentially there's a bounce point there, but we've got these propulsion gaps to the downside to fill, 175 ADR. I'm really not sure why this US dollar is so strong. Not complaining because I've got US dollar longs and Canadian dollar longs on, but uncharacteristic, bad news, big push. So I think they're just getting out of the positions they were in previously. So that's your Aussie, your Euro US dollar, pound yen. I'll just quickly whiz through these and then I'll have a look at the chat and catch up because I've seen lots of chat going on. Pound yen is pushing back down into propulsion. Also last week's low and ADR. 3 reasons to go long. Back up into propulsion up there. This one hasn't been filled yet though. So 125 ADR would probably be the best one to take on that if you can get it. It may not get it, but there's lots of downside on this. Again, yen really, really strong. Weak pound off the back of the interest rates. So potentially we've got a drop back down into this level here. This is a really nice support resistance here. So that is where I would like to see us get to. 225 ADR, that'd be a beautiful long. I don't think it's going to get down there. It's going to need to pull back before it gets down there. But if it did collapse down to there today, if this yen continues and this pound obviously weakens off the back of the interest rates further, then yeah, that'd be a beauty. Pound US dollar coming down hard. Again, as you know, we've got strong US dollar, weak pound, 125. This isn't stopping. 2 propulsion gaps to fill, 150 ADR. So I'd start looking for entries somewhere around there. You're not going to get a reversal alert on this very easily at all. Oh, you are actually. It's the first green candle that we've had in that entire move. So that's your reversal alert now. As soon as we get a bullish engulfing and a new high closed there, we're off potentially. So pound US dollar, that is 125 ADR, still dropping. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, again 125 weekly support we're at the moment. But again, waiting for all this to undo. All these propulsion gap fills to the downside. So if you're going to get into ADR reversals here, just bear in mind that's likely what we're doing. We climb up the stairs, fall down the elevator shaft typically. So as soon as the market, New Zealand dollar, US dollar 125, that's what we're looking at. As soon as the market sees the profit take move commencing, everybody that is long here will start to take profit on theirs. So if you think what you're seeing here as an institution is you're seeing a beautiful long position that you're in and your P&L in a nice profit. And what you're seeing is your P&L just dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. At some point, you're going to go exit. And to exit, you become a seller as well, which drives the seller on. So that's why we get that big drop usually. So when you see a market structure, the drops tend to be faster than the rallies. It's basically because the profit take move is underway. So New Zealand dollar, US dollar, again, opportunity for a long there. US dollars are long. You look at this one. New Zealand dollar, US dollar at the moment is a sell, but it's a sell based on COT, pretty much alone at the moment. So I don't think, when was the last trade on this? Oh, I've just got out of it. There we go. So I just closed out the New Zealand dollar, US dollar short there. So that was the entry there. That was the exit. There was one there as well. So been selling this, and it is a sell at the moment. So if you can get in on a pullback on this down into these areas, I think that's probably a good sell. However, it is an ADR reversal. And obviously, remember, ADR reversals are just scalps. So you're looking for somewhere around about a third of an ADR. So somewhere in the region of 20 pips. So literally, as soon as you get in, you're looking for that sort of movement. Just a small profit take back to the upside. So that one's going to be a long, but I don't think you're going to get an alert on that until there. Yeah. So a third of an ADR from there. You're looking coming back up into this area here, which is going to be beyond those propulsion gaps. So more likely what's going to happen is it's going to pull into there and drop. So might want to wait and see if we get an accumulation a bit lower on this. If you're trading it with the EA, obviously the EA is just going to get you into it automatically anyway. So, and US dollar CAD, big hit to the upside. That one's still going. Reversal alert is going to be there. Propulsion gap targets to the downside on the 5-minute. Hourly, you've got these targets up here, which we're looking for. Got out of this one yesterday. Left a nice big propulsion gap target there. So once we've done that, back down into there. So look at this US dollar. You're not going to get much of a pullback on these, I don't think. So they're just going parabolic at the moment. We've got a little bit of accumulation there, which might act as resistance, which is that monthly level at 150 ADR. So 150 might be a decent place to take it. Euro US dollar 125. What's that Dow doing? We're out the lows. 100 ADR on the Dow. DAX also. Did anybody get on the DAX ORB today? And are they still in it? Aussie dollar US dollar 150 ADR. $359. Get out of the way. New Zealand dollar yen, one ADR. Oh, if you took this ORB today, with the trailing stop at 110% of ADR, which is what 110% of the opening range, which is what I have mine set at. You're still in this. I didn't take this today. It's on an account that I just lost, one of the funded ones, so it's not actually trading the DAX at the moment. Annoyingly, because that would have been an absolute beauty. You're still in this. You haven't had a pullback deep enough to get you out of this. Very nice. Anywho, I'm not in it. So ADRs, last one is US dollar Swiss. We've just hit that one to the upside. You've got a high up there as well. And there's lots of weekly highs coming up. So you've got weekly high, another weekly high, previous weekly high there. So anywhere up at around 150 ADR to 175 ADR, pull back down into these areas. We've got this propulsion gap to the downside. But we'll see what happens with this US dollar. So this is obviously a reaction to the FDIC thing to do with wherever it was, making an announcement on the deposit insurance fund. So I think this is what the rally is about. So we may well, one or two things is going to happen. Obviously, when they announce that, the market's either going to love it or hate it. So we could see easily a 200-300 ADR move on the US today, or it could just undo the whole lot. So I'm holding on to all my US at the moment. Is it 10% target now on Feudal Crest? I've completely forgotten what my target is. Yeah, 10%. Okay. You know, I'm getting close when I'm looking at the targets. Right. Sorry. Okay, so there's all your ADRs. Lots of opportunities on these, but be aware we are moving fast and hard on the US dollar. So you're unlikely to get any entry signals on these while we're going parabolic. So when you're dropping down to try and find an entry on these for mean reversions, most of these you're probably going to find it very difficult to get into, because if this carries on this move, you're just going to get a reverse alert so late. And we might find a lot of strength coming in on that. 10 and 5, yeah. 10 and 5. It's actually 10 and 10. I'm on the Pro Trader, so it's 10 and 10. Is it 10 and 10? Yeah, 10 and 10. It's 10 and 5 on the micros. I'm not trading micros, I'm trading $250,000. So 10% next one as well. Right. Hey, look. Green. Wow. Look at all the green. RSIs. I'll have a quick look at these. There's not many of them to look at today. So I've got stuff going on all over the place today. I'm just toying with the idea of whether or not to close out another New Zealand US. I've got 3 New Zealand USs on. We're 125 ADR on this now. We're coming down to the second. We've just completed this little propulsion gap here at 125 ADR. The next one's 225. I just got the feeling we're going to get a bit of a pullback on this US dollar move. And the news, I think, is in 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So any profit you've got on US dollar positions, this is a good time to potentially put a trailing stop on it. Got no US on this at the minute on this account. So yeah, you might want to put a trading stop on it. When this news hits, we're either going to go back up to source or potentially fly. So if we're going to go back to source, obviously, and you've got a load of profit on the table, you don't want to lose it. You want to lock it in. If we're going to fly, that's fine. A trailing stop will go with you. So drop down M5, something like New Zealand dollar, US dollar. If I was going to put a trailer on it, I'd be looking at somewhere like 100 pips or 10 points, 10 pips rather, 100 points. So just if this is going to suddenly collapse, your trailer goes with you. If it's going to fly back the other way, you want out. So going to quickly put one on that. Dollars, that'll do. Pound US dollar, pound US dollar as well. Same thing. We're down at 150 ADR. Propulsion gap is about to fill. Euro pounds just hit ADR. So again, same thing with this one. We're 150 ADR. Again, we don't know what's going to happen on this news, so just be careful. That's literally going to fill now. Pound US dollar 150 ADR. Fill. There you go. Filled. I'm sticking a trailer on that as well. I've got too much money on the table. Right one on that. Oh, busy afternoon, eh? Right. Okay, let me catch up on the chat. Then we'll do the RSIs. We've got that news coming out. Just going to stick that on in the background. Just make sure that's not playing in here as well. Pound Swiss ADR. ADR is going off all over the place. Back in profit for the day now. Right. Afternoon, Crom. I think I've said afternoon already. Stevie, afternoon. How are you feeling about US dollar CAD? Happy? No, I'm not on US dollar CAD, but I would be happy. So targets up here. Long way to go yet. We're going to find out what's going to happen with the US dollar in about a minute. Whether or not this move is speculative and wrong or right. Just bank some more, 0.38 now. US dollar CAD RSI extension to the upside just been hit as well. Yeah, don't know about the US dollar CAD. Wait and see what happens in this news in a minute. Do you ever trade the FTSE? No. No, never traded the FTSE. Afternoon outro. Andres, what happened to the New York session yesterday? I don't know what happened. Oh no, it was back on. You missed it, John. So basically, I went on yesterday. Streamlabs, the streaming software, collapsed. So we just had some news come in. FDIC banks face billions in extra FDIC fees to cover failure. Hang on, it hasn't started yet. How do you know that? Anyway, so yeah, basically, I came on yesterday. Streamlabs software crashed after about 2 minutes. So I restarted it and restarted the stream. You should have got, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and you'll get a notification when I go live. But I went live straight away, pretty much, again. And I put the new link in Telegram. So if you want to know when I'm on, go in Telegram, join the Telegram group. And obviously subscribe. And then you'll get notifications. But I came back on straight away. Actually, we don't really need to watch this, do we? We're going to see what's going to happen. Banks with more than 50 billion in assets to pay 95%. So we're going to see what's going to happen on this. I'm just going to watch the pound US dollar. That's probably going to be your best gauge as to what the market's going to make of this. No point in looking at it. I don't really know what they're talking about. Euro New Zealand is flying. So we're just up at the highs now on Euro New Zealand. It's going very nicely. Pound US dollar, and watch the Dow. Darigi, how often do I update it? The bias chart. The bias scorecard's updated automatically every the bias scorecard is updated live. So every time you visit it, it refreshes. But the all the data that feeds into this, interest rates, inflation, GDP, unemployment, is all updated hourly. So basically, it's no more than an hour after the release that this is updated to reflect that. Retail sentiment is updated every hour as well. So basically, everything is updated on the hour. So it's all as live as it can be. You know, you're not going to miss something if it's an hour behind. Like the labels, perhaps abbreviate them. I tried that as well. They're a mess. The problem is with the labels is they overlap each other. So not those ones, but the support resistance labels. So you got that one there, that one there. Sometimes you'll have 2 monthly levels and multiple weekly levels. When you get something that bounces off support resistance over a period of time on the hourly and 4 hourly, it's just an utter mess. So I decided I'd put them in originally to test them, and I got rid of them. So you don't need to know what these are. Basically, they're support and resistance levels, whether they're weekly, monthly, daily, whateverly. They're areas where prices turned. It doesn't matter how old they are. You can always see how old they are. That's what I do. Whenever we're getting close to a level, I just do that and go, right, that's that last week's. That's a couple of weeks ago. That's 3 weeks ago. That's 2 months ago. That's last month's rather. That's 2 months ago. So you don't really need to. If you hover over them as well, it actually tells you what they are. So 1 week high, 1 month high, 3 week high, 1 week low. So it does label them if you hover. It's too much crap on the chart. The trouble with everything that we do with my indicators is most of them are intraday based. So ADR is there. You've got support resistance there. You've got propulsion gaps there. There's so much happening on the hard right edge. If you start putting a load of text labels on as well, it just becomes an utter chaotic mess and unreadable. Still dropping. Russia will end grain deal if no guarantees by May 18th. And US dollar still coming down. Outro, you got on the DAX earlier because of phase 2 closed it. Nice one. Very well done. 10 and 5. What was 10 and 5? Oh, on the prop firm, yeah. On the targets. Afisi, what news am I referring to? If you want to know what news is on, go to Forex Factory. There's your news, your scheduled news. Financial Juice gives you live news of what's going on. So you need both of these. You need Forex Factory for scheduled news, so you know when the market's going to move. And you need Financial Juice to see why the market has just moved if you weren't expecting it to move. Both of these will tell you what's going on. Right, that FDIC thing. Are still going on. I don't really. We need to know when this finishes, because if we get a sudden spike because this is finished, it's the market readjusting itself to whatever that news is, whether it likes it or doesn't like it. But at the moment, it seems business as usual. All the US dollar pairs are coming down. the yens are starting to pause now. We're getting a little pullback accumulations on the yen. Lovely symmetrical triangle there. Look. US dollar has just taken over the yen in strength. So still strength in the US. No real reason to get out of anything at the moment. Trailers trailing. Just looking some more money in. That's not a lot. It's $7,000. Quite a lot. Right. RSIs. Let's have a look at the RSIs. So basically on the hourlies, we've got a few now. We didn't have any this morning, apart from the Euro New Zealand. So these you're probably going to find are the same as the ADRs. So this is what I keep saying about when you're looking at running strategies with the market reversal alerts EA. Somebody asked me the other day in Telegram as well, if you're, they wanted to know if there's a way that we can change the dashboard here to show or filter different strategies. So they want to run multiple strategies on the same account. And they want a way to filter it so they can filter between the ADR reversals, and basically filter between comments in here. So you can see which strategy is running which. But the problem is obviously what you're going to do if you're running ADR reversals and H1 M5 mean reversion is you're going to take the same trades a lot. So when you see the ADR dashboard lighting up like this, Aussie dollar yen, Aussie dollar US dollar, when you flick over, you tend to find a lot of the time these are going to be lit up the same as well, because for something to hit ADR, it needs a big strong push in one direction, which will also extend the RSI. So we'll look at these, but you'll probably find a lot of this that we're going to look at is going to be ADR extensions as well. So starting off with the Aussie dollar yen, we are now extended down below 30. We're not down below the 25 line, which is where I'm looking at the moment. I'm 25.75. So not quite triggering for a long opportunity yet. If we can get a push back down into those propulsion gaps, which is 125 to 150 ADR, that might give us a signal. But if you're trading off of the 30, you're ready to get in now as a long Aussie dollar yen. So this yen strength, not sure it's really warranted. I think this is what's happening with the FDIC. They're putting some money back into here, safe havens. I'd imagine the Swiss franc is pushing as well. That's not the best one to look at. Yeah, so Aussie is coming down against the Swiss franc, pound coming down against the franc as well. Yeah, so there's money coming into safe havens, basically. So they're putting money into the Swiss franc and into the yen ahead of this news, basically, just to make sure that they've not got the money exposed in the US dollar while whatever's going on is going on with the FDIC. So this is probably temporary movement. So looking at this Aussie yen, if you look at the buyer scorecard for the yen pairs, everything's pretty much a long. You want to be longing everything against the yen at the moment, especially the European pairs and the US dollar. Aussie New Zealand is more range bound, and so is the Canadian dollar because of the oil prices. So COT positioning is long against the yen, but you need to just bear in mind the yen will power up whenever the hell it wants to. They tend to intervene a lot. So where this is pulling back nicely at the moment, we've got the RSI extension to the downside. Market structure at the moment is high, low, potentially going into a symmetrical triangle for a break back to the upside. So if you look at what we're doing at the moment from market structure, we've got a low, a high, a higher low, a lower high, possibly a higher low, bringing in play a contraction break to the upside. So symmetrical triangle pattern. So that's possibly what's on the cards. Two propulsion gaps to the downside though at the moment, and you've got upside targets as well. So where you are, That's going to get filled at some point, but more than likely they're going to come back down there first. I've just got banked something there. What did I just bank? Pound US. So flat on the pound US dollar now. I had a very tight trailer on that pound US. Very extended. So just wanted a trailer based on that candle. So I think we might get a bit of a rally coming back off of this now. Aussie dollar yen, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar also extended on the hourly. So that's extended to the downside. Very nice extension. You need it hourly RSI. Oh, it's just ticked up. Sorry, it was extended on the hourly. It's ticking up quite quickly now. Big strong tick up there. So yeah, bullish engulfing on that last hourly candle there. So potentially big strong move to the upside starting. We've got nice big propulsion gap targets to the upside there. This is also extended on the 4 hourly. So again, nice extension. Market structure is short at the moment on it, but pull back before continuation. So there is a good opportunity to get in long on that one as well. CAD yen. So again, all these yen pairs. So this one's not an ADR, but extended on the hourly, just below the 30. Yeah. So propulsion gaps being filled. We've got one to the upside. We've got this one down here. So potential little push back up before we come back down there. So that looks pretty good for a long, but better if we were down there. Again, being extended below the 25 would be a much better level to get that at. You've also got a previous support level here as well. So once that's completed, there's going to be limit orders triggering at both of these. It's 2 good support levels here, look. Yeah. So we got this previous low here, which acted again as resistance before it slammed through, came back down, support, 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 bounce. That was the weekly low put in last week. So we've got propulsion gap target and 2 levels where you're probably going to find some limit orders triggering to push back up into there. So it'd be much better if you can get down there and get an entry. That would be lovely. But it is extended. So getting ready for long positions potentially on that. Canadian dollar hasn't really powered up with the US this time. So this is purely US dollar movement. There's no CAD follow through with it. Swiss yen. Propulsion gap just filled. Weekly support. Extended, not quite enough for me, but getting there. You can see the last time we got down here. Just got those bounces there. So nice divergence there. So it looks good. Potentially for a long first position. Just bear in mind with all these yens, they've been weak. So there's a lot of this. So these tend to get filled. We know they get filled. So there's a long way to drop on this if this does start to come down. So just be aware of that. Afternoon, Tamo. Rodrigo, that was my question. Okay, I've obviously answered it, whatever it was. Almost at break even on Euro New Zealand. What a miracle. They do happen, Brian. So am I. Euro yen. Nice extension to the downside. Again, this euro, expecting this euro to power up. Beautiful support, double support here. So 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, at ADR, we got monthly high, which is there at 125 ADR. So this is lovely. Look at these targets to the upside. However, you got all these targets to the downside, and you got now all these targets to the upside, and you're bang in the middle of both. Tricky. So either you're going to get in on an RSI extension and obviously drop down M5, get that reversal alert there, which you just had. There's your reversal alert. Or it's either going to go or it's going to drop back down and do those propulsion gaps. So when you're taking this entry, planning it, there's your first entry. Get out when it moves up. Second entry somewhere down there. Third entry somewhere down there. If needed, all the way down to there. So that would be your position. You will get a bounce down there somewhere once those have got filled. 150 New Zealand US. Just adjusting my targets. My TPs on New Zealand US are 175 ADR. I think I might extend them. So that's my target. Is that low? So I'm just adjusting my targets down to 225. I don't think we'll get there without pulling back because I've got trailers on it. But if we do, I'll take it. I hate trading manually. Right. Why me? Not happy, is it? Well, it's very happy. The US dollar is very happy. Whatever you're saying, keep saying it. Waller's speaking as well now, just to add extra. Are you university? Well, you can jump on a Zoom call with them, look. So Waller's starting to speak as well, so we might have some more coming out of that as well. So where were we? Euro yen, pound yen. Again, extended to the downside. Pound's coming off a double support here. So this level here and this previous high. So we're finding limit orders triggering there out of this propulsion gap. Be beautiful to get that 125 for a bounce on it. We should get some strength coming through on the pound. This is the very similar reaction to the euro. So with the euro, we had that reaction where they increased the interest rates and the euro collapsed. Pound seems to be doing the same thing. We've increased the interest rates and it's come down, mainly because I think the market wanted more and it didn't get it. So I still think we're bullish pound. If you look at the scorecard for the pound, it's mostly buys. Against the US dollar is the only sell at the moment, but it's mostly buys. Its top positioning is long on the futures market. So the futures are positioned long for the pound long term. So we should be looking for some strength on it. The fact that it's coming down, obviously, is based mainly on the fact that the market had a knee-jerk reaction to the rates, and obviously the yen has strengthened today. So this is getting to the point where I'm going to start getting into this. So next M5 reversal alert, there'll be a long entry on that. That looks good. Back up into these areas here. Not much more downside on this. Oh, there is. Zoom out. It's not going to get all the way down there. I'd be very surprised if we get all the way back down to 160s, 170s, 165s. Oil, ADR. Let's just quickly look at that oil move. Actually, where are we? Pound yen. Let's look at the last one of these. US dollar CAD. Then we'll look at oil. So US dollar CAD, big extension to the upside. Again, watch yourself on these US dollars. Not stopping at the moment. Could well just get up to 225 ADR. Whatever it does, yeah, after a parabolic move like this, you will get a correction. Yeah, parabolic move, correction, parabolic move, correction, parabolic move, correction. They are piling into this. When they pile into it, they've got to pile out of it to make money. So there will be a pullback on it. So just bide your time. Don't get in for getting in's sake. Get in when you see some signs of weakness coming through. So still pushing at the moment. Really nice tight reversal alert on this as we're going up. That's where your entry is going to be. So you're looking for a potential pullback into there, look, which is 58 pips, over half an ADR on that. New Zealand dollar, US dollar still coming down. Oil. It's an ADR hit to the downside. Right. So we were looking at this morning for potential entries here. So if this is your double bottom or your W pattern reversal at those propulsion gaps, we are going to put in that market structure. This is the pullback on this leg for entering long. So this is where you want to be getting in 100, 125 ADR on oil if you're going to go long on it. I'm not playing with oil anymore, but there we go. So there's your ADR hit to the downside. Oil seems to be getting negatively correlated inversely correlated with the US dollar, doesn't it? This is the second time this has happened on a US dollar push. Interesting. Obviously, it is priced in US dollars. So, what a day. I'm going to bank half of my prop target today, and I'm risking 0.25% per position. What a day. New Zealand dollar, US dollar still coming down like a absolute steam train at the moment. Not stopping through that monthly level. 225s on the cards today, I reckon, but we'll see. Certainly liking this, aren't they? Afternoon, Nasir. CAD Swiss, Stevie. Have a look at that. We'll do the 4-hour RSI extensions in a minute. They're very similar to what we've looked at already anyway, but CAD Swiss. So CAD's coming down at the moment. Oil. Swiss franc probably powering up with the euro. The euro's rallying. So, hey, look. Hey, look, everybody. Euro New Zealand back in profit. This is where we were this morning. One move. One ADR. This is a prime example of how position trading, why we try to keep our average within ADR. 2 candles, you're in profit. That's all you're waiting for. You're waiting for that rally. CAD Swiss. So yeah, big push down at the minute. We've got lots of targets to the downside. So this would be preferable short. However, you're stuck in this, what is this? Now 1, 2, 3, 4-day range, aren't you? At the moment. I can't see any reason why the euro is not going to power up with the Swiss franc's not going to power up with the euro. So yeah, short it. Wouldn't want to long it at the minute. But if you want to assume this range is going to hold, there's your long back up into there. However, look at the size of this move. If you look at this candle that's being painted on the daily chart, this is an outside bar on the last 3 days. Look. So there's your last 3 spinning tops. Today is an outside bar on all 3 of those days within a couple of pips. So they've basically cleared the decks and they're running short. So this looks much more like a continuation short. And look at the trend on it as well. Beautiful short entry, already in one. But yeah, I'd stay short on that. Could you be seeing a reversal on the pound US dollar? Yep, probably. Don't know when. But you will get a push back up at some point, but not the minute. We've done the recent propulsion gaps. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. And we've basically undone 3/4 of that today. One move. Come on, New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Don't stop. Very nice. Sorry, I was just calculating stuff in my head. Probably heard the cogs turning, the smoke coming out my ears. Euro New Zealand. Yeah, so we've been long on that since the RSI extension. So this has been squeezing for the last week. So we're undoing that now. Again, same thing. Climb up the stairs, fall down the elevator shaft. You're climbing down the stairs and you're coming back up in the elevator. Same thing. It's just the profit take move happening in reverse. So yeah, looks good. All going the right way. In fact, I'm going to take that manual off. That one, isn't it? Just going to take that manual one off because that was me this morning or whenever it was getting in manually, whereas the EA should be managing that. What did I just close there? I just closed the wrong trade, didn't I? Oh, I had another manual on. What did I just close? Whoops. Oh, EuroCAD. I had a manual on EuroCAD as well. So just close that one out as well. I'm just going to close this one out. I was going to say that. Why didn't that plot? So EuroCAD, just closed that one out as well. So that was a manual that I took in case the EA didn't get in, and the EA did get in. So right trade. Oh, that was a pending order I placed, wasn't it, this morning? That was the pending trigger. Yeah. There we go. Right, where am I? Euro New Zealand. So yeah, Euro New Zealand obviously is unwinding at the moment. So continuation back up into this propulsion, which is the exit. Afternoon, Neo. I've already said an afternoon, haven't I? Did you not say afternoon earlier? I remember. EuroCAD making me smile, JC. That's what we like to hear. EuroCAD making me smile too. So this is a big drop. This move from last Thursday. 472 off of a 119 ADR. So that's 4 ADR basically. We had an ADR hit followed by an ADR hit, and then we've had 3 down days on the trot. Actually, yesterday was a kind of doji. So we should unravel now, at least back up to here. So middle of this propulsion gap, 175 ADR. Unlikely it's going to do it today, but that's where I'll be looking to come next. So we're likely to have a little bit of a pullback before we go up to there. Ideally, a little bit of a flag break, which would be even nicer. So tomorrow morning, just bear in mind, we've got the preliminary CPI for New Zealand. That's tomorrow morning. So we are going to get a reaction off of that. So your New Zealand dollar pairs, everything's pulling back at the moment. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, I am out and flat. Bank some Euro New Zealand as well. ADR yet, though, is it? In 2 minds whether to hold that or not. Closing out a portion of it. Okay, 2.4% banked today on the prop firm. That's nice. Afternoon PM. Yeah, we looked at everything else, haven't we? So 4-hour RSIs, Aussie, New Zealand. Nicely extended to the downside. You've missed that one. So that was your 4-hour RSI extension, M15 or M5, both given reversal alerts. So there's your long opportunity, Aussie, New Zealand. Looking at that long term, we were looking at this continuation move to the downside. That low is target, which is 225 ADR. I think that's probably going to go off out the lows and down the bottom. But we are very extended now down here. So potentially a little bit of a pullback before a continuation drop on that. That monthly low, if we can get down to there, that would be the ideal spot to take it. It's just got the reversal alert now. So a little bit further on that, some kind of price action around here would be absolutely perfect, Aussie, New Zealand. But that's nice extended on the 4-hour. So again, looking for just a pullback sort of thing. Same as the usual. Yeah, pull back into propulsion somewhere. Euro yen, double bottom bounce off of the weekly support. We've got the monthly support there. So again, we've looked at this one already, haven't we? Euro New Zealand, continuously looking at Euro yen and Euro New Zealand. So yeah, nice bounce there, potentially, if it drops further than it is here. Beautiful 4-hour RSI extension. So if you look at this one, this level that we're at now, which is the 20 level, it's very rare. Well, not very rare, but it's not often we get below 20. So when you do, it's not often that you don't get the start of the next leg, whichever the next leg will be. Yeah. And at the moment we're bullish, so makes sense that we're going to run that high. 24.72 bounce, perfect zone for a bounce as well. So it looks really good. Euro yen for a long. But obviously bear in mind the yen is a safe haven. So if we do have any issues with the banks, which is why they were talking, this is why this is all going on. It's all going wrong. Finance system is all going wrong everywhere at the moment. So if we do get banks starting to fall over and continuously like dominoes go, the yen is going to rally. So you might get stuck in a little bit of a squeeze on it. Euro New Zealand, you missed it. So that's starting to play out now. Euro New Zealand, this has been extended for since pretty much the beginning of May. So for a good week or so, we've been in this. It's been extended and it's got embedded. The euro rates on Thursday tanked it. We were waiting for the bounce, didn't get it. So this is the start of the profit take move, hopefully, on this entire thing. So stick a fib on the move on the 4-hour and look at where you're potentially going for a 38 retracement, at least back up into here, which is this potential level there. That monthly line is at least where we should be headed. I'm out well before that, but potentially this has got rallying legs all the way out the highs. New Zealand is weak. Euro is potentially going to be strong. Although the New Zealand dollar interest rate is up pretty high, the euro are going to continuously increase theirs, probably for another one, maybe two more meetings. So we got a lot of movement potentially on this euro to the upside still. So that's a lovely opportunity long if you're not already in it. If you're in it, you're smiling. New Zealand dollar Swiss, 4-hour RSI extension to the upside. That's just come out of extension, so you've missed that one as well. Coming down. New Zealand dollar dropping. We looked at this morning, didn't we, for a 72 bounce? Spot on. So lovely bounce off the 72. 72 and 24 bounces are absolutely beautiful when they work. So that's a lovely short. But you should already be in that. You're on your hourly RSI extension from here or here. You're either in it from there or there. If you're trading the hourly. If you're trading the 4-hourly, you were in it from back here. Actually, that was out, so you weren't. You were in it from here. Actually, you're out there. So you would have been in it from there, which is exactly the same as the H1 entry. See what I mean? With all the strategies that I run with the market reversal alerts EA, that was an ADR hit. So you'd have got in an ADR reversal. It was an H1 RSI extension. So you'd have got in with an H1 RSI extension. It was an H4 RSI extension. So you got in an H4. So that entry there, 3 different strategies triggered exactly the same entry. So this is why you've got to be careful if you're running multiple strategies. Your exposure will increase because the EA will take the same trades with 3 different strategies. Let's have a quick look at that on the VPS. New Zealand dollar Swiss. So this is ADR reversal. New Zealand dollar Swiss. See that? So you've got one position. Sorry, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions on that. Obviously, the ADR reversals, they scale in a lot faster than the other strategies, a lot more aggressive. New Zealand dollar Swiss, you're in there. You can't see it. Yeah, New Zealand dollar Swiss. So that is the H1 M5 entry. And then H4 M5, New Zealand dollar Swiss. You've got 3 positions on there, but same trade, 3 different strategies, 3 slightly different entry criteria, but all around about the same sort of time triggered. So just be careful when you are running multiple instances of the EA doing different things because you've got that overexposure potential. 3.6% banked on the H1 hedging set file, 15% on the month now, sitting in 5% drawdown. I do love this set file. I just don't love the drawdown, 20% drawdown. But yeah, God, does it bank. $23,000 that's done now. Since beginning of March, April, May, 2 months, $23,000. Right, that's all I've got for you from an analysis perspective. That's all the ADRs, all the RSIs covered. The Dow is starting to sort of pause down here at ADR. So obviously we've had the vast majority of the movement ahead of the open. Lovely opening range break again today on that, but not much more movement going on. DAX also starting to reject the lows at the moment. So we are starting to, now we've got down to ADRs, we're starting to sort of put a little bit of a pause in. So let's just see if there's any more news from the FDIC. So all starting to slow down now. What a hectic afternoon, but good, massively profitable. Rish, Euro Swissy would make its mind up. The Euro Swissy is a tricky one because obviously they move together. So whenever you get any kind of strength on one currency, the other gets dragged along with it, which is why you find Euro Swiss does a lot of range-bound movement. That's why its ADR is only 51. So if you look at the Euro Swiss ADR compared to a lot of other things, where are we? With 51 ADR on Euro Swiss, lots of other stuff obviously up in the hundreds, etc. But because when you get a push on the Swissy and the Euro, they go with each other. Whenever you get some kind of strong movement, you get a lot of accumulation. It's only when you get a news event that affects one and doesn't affect the other that you're actually going to get a lot of movement on them. Or if there's a safe haven rush when the Swiss franc gets affected more than everything else. So tricky one, Euro Swiss. You can see this one here, look. This buy. Got into it there. Second position, third position, exit. That was what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 days. Just, you know, look at the movement on it. 5 days sideways, 2-day drop. 5 days sideways, 2-day, 1-day drop. 3 or 4 days sideways, 2-day push. Just doesn't go anywhere. It's just not a fun one, Euro Swiss. Never has been. Same as Euro Pound. Exactly the same thing. Euro Pound does the same thing. Lots of sideways, then the odd push, then lots of sideways. Less so now that we're out of Brexit. Now Brexit's happened, obviously Euro Pound is coming to life a little bit more, but still only a 50 ADR, still tiny. John, is the new market reversal alerts EA you're developing going to replace stand alongside the current one? I'm not sure. It's something new that I'm trading. I'm building all along the same lines to do position trading. So it's not going to be, the market reversal alerts EA is staying exactly as it is. I'm building something new. But it's mainly for me to test stuff and to test different position trading strategies. So it'll be a different product, but it won't be based on the market reversal alerts EA. It will be based on fractals. And